Hello, Soul Spiralers. Welcome back to today's episode. Today, I have Ventaur Wolfe, or we like to call him Ven. And Ven is a creative in many areas of his life. He's an educator of life. And the things that he's very passionate about, definitely. He's a seeker of truth, a musician, and a mushroom mage.
Oh, I like that.
And also a very great friend of mine. So I'm very excited to have you on the podcast today, Ben. Welcome.
Oh, I'm pumped to be here. That actually made me a little emotional. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to, get that sort of love from someone that knows you well. It's like, I'm actually the person that I'm aspiring to be. Oh, it's good. Okay, check.
Yeah, it's always good when you're like, okay, it's good that the external is reflecting what
totally.
I'm trying
That's my mirror, right?
Have internally. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm very excited to have you here, Ben. I think the main thing that we're going to cover today is obviously the mushroom. We won't have mushroom for anything else. So. I had to throw that in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, look, I'm a fun guy, so I'll play along.
But perhaps before we deep dive into that, because I know a lot of your stories has that woven within it. Did you want to share a little bit with the listeners about how you have become who you are today and the journey that you've taken, and because you've lived a few different lives in your time. Oh man,
I've lived so many lives.
But it all began when I was 28.
I guess I got to the point in my life where I had a great job. I was Batman at Movie World. So, getting to do stunt fighting and, impress women all over the place as I went along in my tidy blacks. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be seen and be on the silver screen. And so, that took me to Los Angeles, where I lived for almost 9 years, about 8.5 years, if I'm being completely honest. What an amazing / crazy place that is.
Yeah.
But it was good because I got to essentially wake up from the Matrix inside the Matrix. So I felt like Neo that none of the agents could recognize.
Yeah.
if you've seen the Matrix films that I'm playing along. However, it got pretty dark for me. When I left, it was the whole Trump-Hillary election thing, and just people couldn't talk about anything else. And, I'm a big recognizer of patterns, and people don't see the 4 and 8 year patterns that they go through about, no, the next guy will change it,
Yeah.
So I had to get out of there. But look, I discovered mushrooms in America, in Los Angeles. It all actually really began when I'd put on a bit of weight living in California.
I can't imagine that.
Well, I was living in like a $4.5 million mansion in Brentwood as a live-in nanny. So anything I wanted. There was a shop down the street that I could just go and get whatever I wanted, just put on the tab. So I was getting these like decadent sandwiches every day. It was delicious. Anyway, I digest. So I'd put on a bit of weight and I was just feeling terrible. I was drinking a lot, going out, doing a lot of drugs, just having a riot of a time, just being the loosest version of myself.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with a very good friend of mine about how I was not feeling very well. And he said that he had cut out sugar and he was feeling really good. And I was like, oh yeah, I could cut out sugar. There's sugars in everything. I could cut out that easy. No drinking for a week. Yeah, I could do that easy. So I chose sugar and high fructose corn syrup because in America, that shit's in everything. It's fucking poison. Can I say fuck on this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. And within the first 5 days, I dropped about 3 kilos and I felt so much clearer in my mind.
Yeah.
Also, I wasn't drinking and doing drugs.
Totally.
So that was all hand in hand. Yeah.
Doesn't it?
So I called my friend and I told him that I was feeling heaps better. And he's like, oh, dude, we just watched this documentary called Forks Over Knives. Yeah. He's like, it'll blow your mind. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. What else can I change? That was pretty easy to not eat sugar and that and not drink alcohol. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can make small choices. And I watched that documentary and it's about the science of food and how it interacts with us on a microbiological level, and how we can turn on and turn off cancer by feeding it animal proteins. It's like, mine was just blown in that moment. So that was that was the point where I started to realize that everything that I thought I knew was a lie.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the hardest thing about choosing to, I guess, be vegan, if you're going to put a label on it, was that nothing was true. And my diet then was just a byproduct of now the truth that I was seeking about, you know, not only food, but like life in general. Like, what else have we been lied to about? And it was everything.
Yeah.
You know, why are psychedelics illegal? Because they literally connect you back to who you truly are. Like, okay, that to me sounds like there's a devilish mechanism in play to keep that knowledge, that infinite connection, a secret, because then we can get caught up in this consumerist world and into the ego. And, you know, that's when it starts to steamroll. So that was part of my truth seeking, was just like, hang on a second. Like, everything that I have watched on YouTube, every person I've spoken to have done psychedelics, the tens of hours of Terence McKenna that I have ingested, is like, I'm going to do these things. I'm not scared of this. This sounds wonderful. And it was truly wonderful.
Yeah, how come like these psychedelic, that is very expansive experiences, are illegal, but yet these things that they make you take, like pharmaceuticals, are legal, and they cause so much terrible stuff? Yeah, you know,
just look at alcohol.
Doesn't make sense, you know. Yeah,
alcohol, a culturally sanctioned, you know, celebratory thing. Let's celebrate something by poisoning ourselves with this toxic, like, entity-based, you know, mechanism. My sister used to work in emergency at the hospital in Brisbane, and Friday and Saturday night, she said, 90% of the cases are alcohol related, and it's busy. Yeah. Yet that's just allowed. Yeah. Wow. So this is where the anarchist mindset comes in, right? You don't need to be governed by other people who make rules for your life. Yeah, like, you can step back and be wise and choose what rules you will follow and what rules you will not follow, because
everyone has their own truth.
You are morally obligated to, what is it? You are morally obligated to defy unjust laws.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like something from like Judge Judy.
I think actually it was like a T-shirt that Matt Damon wore on an award show.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, something stupid that my brain picked up along the way.
So you discovered a more plant-based living. I think that's where you were
totally at. Yeah. So like, I guess the theme that is now emerging in you know, much later life for me is, it was all kind of leading me back to being more connected with my body and who I truly am. Because like, we go on all of these, you know, spiritual journeys, and we're looking inwardly, and we're trying to get into this ethereal realm, and like, we go and do ayahuasca, and we have conversations with Gaia and, you know, Mother Aya, and it's all profound, and we want to go there. But what we forget is that's where we came from. We didn't come here to go there. We came here from there, and we'll eventually go back to there. But while we're here to make that more wise through this experience. That's why that sends us here, or that's why we emerge here. It's just like, I look at the universe like this, you know, bubbling surface of like little, you know, expressions, which is life. You know, right? And the best way to gather the most amount of knowledge and wisdom is through the most amount of, you know, wisdom gathering mechanisms, right? That's why there's such diversity here. Because like, look at the wisdom this place that's alive is gathering through these experiences, through us unlocking these beliefs and us growing and, you know, trying new things and, you know, living in the unknown and, you know, just like seeking more connectivity and love. Like, that's like rocket fuel for this place, I think. Totally. But I think this all comes from, you know, eliminating things that are, you know, dead, destructive, or negative from your life. So like food, news, alcohol, you know, gossip, all of those sorts of things. Then you start to get reconnected with who you are, because all that shit is just a distraction. That's just put here to keep us in, you know, in that system of.
And the more barriers we have, the less likely we're to change.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And we just give away our barriers, don't we? Sprinkle a little fear on it. Take my barriers, take them all. So yeah. And mushrooms was an absolute game changer for me. Like, I remember after that first experience when we actually did it in the Hollywood Hills, like between the Hollywood sign and the observatory.
Wow.
There's this beautiful, it's all hiking tracks through there. And we found this little hiking trail. It was a dead end, but it had this like 6-meter high cliff face. So you could sit on there. Someone had built this like stick cave. So we were in there like ceremonially, like, you know, like setting our intentions and taking them. And it was raining. It was beautiful. Anyway, afterwards, the four of us we all put our phones in the car and we went for a walk into the observatory, and we all stood in a huddle and we were like, how can we mass dose Los Angeles with psilocybin? Everybody needs this.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most loving, connected, forgiving, graceful. Yeah, like that's what it showed me that this life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I felt it in that moment and it felt fucking good. It's like, well, if I came here to feel good, I want to feel like that. I want to feel that good, but not with drugs or not with, you know, a substance. I know that I can feel that within me because
that's what
I'm
it's
feeling
reminding
it
you of.
Yeah.
I love that. And with so like that was your first experience.
Yeah, first experience.
And then like what happened from there? Because obviously from, I don't know when, you know, mushrooms gave you a different name, and then you ended up facilitating mushroom journeys, like probably way down the track.
Yeah.
But obviously you've been on a big journey with this medicine.
Yeah. Look, I've sat with the mushroom, I would say probably 50 plus times.
Yeah. Okay.
LSD, maybe 20 or 30 times. DMT, maybe 10 or 15 times. Like I've been around, I've been out there looking around and, you know, but I will say this about your first experience with mushrooms is you've heard, if you like watch any like Joe Rogan's podcast or anyone else like that, who they have people on who talk about psychedelics, when they say set and setting.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize this enough. This is not a party drug.
Yeah.
You can take it at a party, but you got to understand the repercussions of that is you are cracking yourself wide open.
Yeah. Not allowing like for true integration.
No.
And that's like, I remember when I used to go to Dorf, you just see like people blowing out in so many different substances and then they never fully integrate that. So there's damage that occurs. Yeah. Just like anything.
Yeah. And that's how these substances get a bad name.
Yeah.
Is because they have been used in a way that hasn't been researched. It's uninformed use, essentially.
Yeah.
So
or
the more
abusing
informed,
the plant,
yeah, exactly. Well, I guess that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So look, firstly, do your research. Secondly, ask your body if your body wants to do it.
Totally.
You know, we've been doing a lot of muscle testing lately, just for random things, and it's amazing.
Totally.
Laura's been using it against me in Monopoly Deal. It's not fair.
Oh, that's not
it's
fair.
Not fair at all.
We'll have to do code names.
She has been smashing me with it. Anyway, so it totally works. But also, like, don't be scared of it.
Yeah.
You can't this is how you can die from taking mushrooms. Firstly, just from pure astonishment at how amazing it is. That was Terence McKenna's things. Like, it's the only way you can die is from astonishment. The LD50, which is the lethal dose of psilocybin, is your body weight in dried mushrooms. Oh now, mushrooms weigh nothing. It's like this room full of mushrooms. You couldn't do it if you tried.
Oh my God.
So you can't die from it.
Yeah.
You
just feel like you're going to die sometimes. Well, I know.
Parts of you do.
Yeah.
Parts of you do die.
Yeah.
But they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just old versions and old beliefs and old fears. Yeah. I do know there are people taking dosages of over 100 grams, which like the heroic dose is 5 grams, but there are people taking 100, 140. And they say that the world that you go into is infinite.
Oh my God.
It just gets longer and more deeper and crazier.
I can't comprehend that because I remember when Alex and I last year wanted to microdose, and then we were like, let's take a bit more than a microdose. So we took 0.3. That was plenty for me, man. Like that was like, we were obviously post-fasting, like very sensitive. We are sensitive to things. Probably less so now, but like because we are so clean, we have been so clean. Like I think that doesn't take much.
Between
even 0.1 I can feel.
Between 0.3 and 1 gram, that's a rough place to be in. It's anxiety central because it's like sitting on a roller coaster strapped in and it moves a little bit.
Yeah.
And it moves a little bit. And it moves a little bit. And you want it to take off because you want that experience, but it just doesn't do it. You're just like in this weird spot. So yeah, either take a microdose that you can't feel.
Yeah.
Or take a dose that you're willing to sit with.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That actually felt like a dose for us.
Yeah.
And like I was getting like
it would be
like visuals and everything. Like I'd take not as intense as times when I've taken full doses, obviously.
All that fruit's brushed off all the psilocybin receptors in your brain.
All my telomeres are
activated.
That's it. And so yeah, I don't know if you were in the middle of where you were going with obviously then what led you to then facilitating.
Well, I mean, purely doing it with other people.
Yeah, because people started asking you, didn't they?
Yeah, well, people wanted to, you know, I've sat with it with close friends.
Yeah.
Had some wild experiences. DMT is a wild experience, but yeah, with mushrooms especially, I just started to naturally facilitate people. Like my partner Laura, for example, she was really the one that pushed me into like, you should facilitate. Like you're good at this. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Laura,
you asked the right questions.
Yeah. And
you're
Laura,
a bit pointy in the good way.
Yeah, but I can be soft when like
you can be soft pointy
when she's heightened, you know, because like
Totally.
Laura has this fear of, well, she has this feeling that she's dying. It's not a fear of dying.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of dying.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, she knows consciously and outside of the mushroom experience that parts of her are dying, but she can literally feel it. And it's painful because it's, you know, practiced versions of the self, you know.
Yeah.
And she, you know, would start to hyperventilate and she would almost go into a panic attack. But, and even on the this is when I was also, you know,
You're also dosing.
I was also, we took 2.5 grams of the subgirinosa, Psilocybe subgirinosa, which is a southern variety of mushrooms that grows through southern Australia and into New Zealand. They are about 2 times the potency of your standard gold tops, your Psilocybe cubensis. So don't do 5 grams of those. That's like a 10-gram dose. We did 2.5 grams, which is about a 5-gram dose. And Laura thought she was dying a couple of times. She was, and I was just talking her off the ledge, and we, you know, holding each other, holding space with each other, and crying together and singing, and it was just a beautiful thing. So I incorporate all those things into my sessions with people as well. So,
and so, what's the dose that you generally? Because you make a tea for them.
I do,
you?
yeah, make a tea. Yeah.
And so, how much do people usually have when they go through the journey?
Between 1.6 and 2 grams of the subs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like the more potent.
Yeah, it's between 3 and 4 grams of like your standard gold tops, which I think is a great way to get into, because like a 2 gram, between 1.5 and 3 grams, it's kind of giggly.
Yeah.
It's very shallow and surfacey. It's a great way to sort of like dip your toe in.
Yeah.
But you're not going to learn anything. Anything over sort of 2.5.
Not consciously realize you're learning.
Yeah. Like 2.5 grams to 4 grams is quite, it gets very, you know, really deep, quite emotional, but beautiful emotional.
Yeah.
High vibrational emotions. And then 5 grams is just, it's like being struck by lightning.
Yeah. And so obviously, even if you're giggling, you're saying, you're going to feel like you're accomplishing more perhaps in that session.
Yeah. It's a mood elevator.
You do that. But obviously it's still doing stuff to your brain otherwise, because otherwise why would, you know, I know that you advocate for microdosing as well. And my understanding is that the psilocybin activates another hormonal chemical in your brain, which then helps to like almost rewire your brain. I wonder, do you know, like if when you hear that people are pregnant, that their brain like turns to mush, and so like it becomes like they're in a position to like rewire their brain when they're in that state, because their body's getting ready for what's to come. I wonder if it's a similar sort of thing that happens.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. I like that hypothesis. Yeah, it would be cool to like, sort of map a pregnant lady's brain and then map a microdosing brain, or even like
the period of time.
The period. That would be fascinating.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's done that.
Yeah, maybe the brain seems like it turns to mush because you go through such a detox when you're pregnant,
Perhaps,
right?
Yeah,
like peels.
But they've actually like properly measured it and found that there's like more elasticity in the brain. There's more softness like in the actual brain. So it's like it's going through this.
It has a certain flexibility, let's call it, because it has to be now adaptive.
Yeah. And even the person that's not pregnant, so the male, his brain goes through a similar sort of thing when around the time the baby's born.
Right.
And then because it happens for the first like year or whatever,
Yeah,
like
right.
that. And so the male's brain actually goes through that as well.
Well, you're in this sort of like bubble of toroidal fields,
Yeah.
aren't you? It's like no wonder all that just sort of syncs up. Yeah, that makes sense.
So cool.
Wow.
So yeah, I love this like thought of being able to rewire the brain. And
Yeah.
so let's talk about them. I wanted to go back to one other thing.
Sure.
There's two main types of mushrooms that you would take for like the psilocybin trip, like
for
you mentioned
ceremony,
too.
yeah,
for the two. And so the gold tops you're saying are like less potent in.
Yeah, well, I would say they're standard potency.
Yeah.
The subs are just extra potency because they
Right.
grow in bark, like chip bark.
Right.
So like not mulch, but mulched up trees.
Yeah.
Now down in the southern parts of Australia, well, I think Australia has the most varieties of acacia trees of anywhere in the world, and acacia trees have the highest percentage of DMT in them.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they the MDMA trees, or is that different again?
Their acacia has DMT, dimethyltryptamine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these mushrooms are growing in DMT bark.
Right.
So you get a very similar, where you get elements of the DMT experience in the visualization, lots of colors and mandalas and like.
So it can be a lot more visual.
Yeah, it can be very visual. Some
Yeah.
of my clients have had like talking toads and dragons flying around and like an owl licking them and like so many cool and strange things. And what I loved about all that is like, even though like they're laying on a massage table, essentially super plush with an eye mask on, so they're in complete
very comfortable.
So in complete darkness as well. And I play like soft, like meditation, like high vibrational hertz tones underneath it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the visualizations can be vivid, specific, emotional, but they lack fear. So even though you are having a conversation with a terrifying looking dragon, you feel completely safe because you know the dragon
Your nervous system is not activated because you've got the setting right.
Totally, because you're already at ease. Like even before we get started, when they finish the tea, get on the table, eye mask on, we have a crystal bowl guided meditation. Then I'll play some handpan. Then I put on a beautiful chorus.
Nice.
I love beautiful chorus. And I sing along with it to them.
Yeah.
And, I check in with them like every so often because I know, like I've got a clock over there too. So I know about where they're at. For pretty much the first like hour and a half, 2 hours, they can be quite like fidgety and like moving their hands around, like trying to interact with what's going on in their mind, like the physicality of it. Lots of fast thoughts, sentences that are incomplete, but I'm keeping notes the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm really paying attention to what's being said because somewhere in that, later on, when they go back and read the trip notes, it'll trigger something in them and it'll be like, oh my God, that's what that was.
Yeah.
It's like that still happens for me from some of my experiences. That. So yeah. The whole experience takes about 6 hours. So from pretty much 9 to 2, 9 to 3. Some of my clients, because we live close to the beach, I recommend everyone. Lately, I've actually been taking them to the beach and we go and have a swim afterwards, get that grounding energy, wash off that previous version of yourself. And they just come out just like glowing. Like, I'm like, oh, you're going to, what are you going to do? Are you going to go home now? And they're like, actually, I think I might just sit here. Yeah. Like pretty much I would say 99% of them just like, I'm just going to sit here.
Nice. That reconnection with nature really happened as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But we've tackled some incredible topics too, like ex-army PTSD totally changed his whole life. Like neck pain gone, like so many things he released and loved himself and forgave himself. And it was interesting. When I was playing Beautiful Chorus, he asked me to turn it off because he didn't feel he couldn't. It was a vibrational mismatch. Yeah. So then to get him to come up to here, then I had to go back in and dig a little deeper. Like, okay, why are you resisting that? Okay, let's talk about, let's talk a bit more about your dad. So we got into that, and it was just like he's just shedding so many tears and layers, and his wife actually has sat ceremony with me since as well.
Nice.
And I mean, she quit her job they sold their place and they're
Wow.
like they're growing all their own food now, drinking significantly less, which was huge.
Yeah.
Changed their whole life.
They've let go of some of that, like those shame and traumas and like past selves that were holding them back, and like being able to reconnect with who they truly are and that nature aspect. And would you say that's what you did when you found your true name when you were with mushrooms?
Yeah. You've just shed so many layers of yourself. But just looking back at, I was born Scott Cartmill, and looking back at, the life that Scott had, it was fun, it was carefree, but not mature, not thoughtful, not present, not loving, very detached. Just sort of like an emptier version of myself. But, growing up Christian, you always suspect something higher than yourself exists. You're told, this version of it. It never really resonated with me, like I believe in magic and, sure, people can walk on water. Okay, yeah, whatever. Like I haven't seen it, but, I did not see it. So, I believed in magic, but I didn't believe in like hell or any of that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I think I was pretty open to the magic of the mushroom as well. Yeah. I had a religious predisposition to the mushroom. Yeah. And then when you look at like all the Vatican and all the imagery, it's all about the mushroom. Totally. It's Amanita muscaria everywhere. The red ones with the white dots.
I know. I was saying to you, I'm in like a deep Mary Magdalene vortex lately, just like reading all of the stuff of where it came through, like the left path, which is known as the sinister path, which they've made that word sin and sinister, bad words, but it's actually the feminine. And so, of course,
well, that's how we vilified women for thousands of years and oppressed them. Because if we let them unleash their true power, like men would just be like, oh,
yeah, what do you mean there's a feminine Christ? But and all the different stuff that was within original things that then, like even the fish on the Pope, how he wears the fish thing, like it's to do with the Vesica Pisces, which is like a feminine like magic symbol that was like being in. It's just so many things. It's like their legs opening, all of that sort of stuff.
Well, I think in Catholicism especially, they worship Mary Magdalene more than they really worship Jesus.
They worship Mary Magdalene, but they say that she repented to be worshipped. They don't honor the fact that she was both a whore and holy.
Right.
And that's like where the mishap occurs. Like they said, we accept her because she like admitted all her sins and she's let go that past self of herself. Yeah. When in actual fact, she's like, no, I'm both of those things. Right. Honor me for both of these things.
And what was their version of whore back then?
Yeah.
You showed a little too much shin. Oh, whore.
Yeah. Well, even the word whore, like looking at like the whole history of the word whore is very interesting. Because it comes from this her, which is a noise that a lot of women make in childbirth. Like, like trying to like, and there's just all these connotations around the authenticity and the femininity that word brings. Wow. And so that actually the word whore actually just means the feminine and like and birth and like that, all that sort of stuff. So
fucking men, eh?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's not even just men though. It's like,
don't let men invent a language because it's so oppressive. Especially not white men.
Yeah. But
I'm a white man, if you can already tell.
A very tanned one.
I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, wow, I'm just another white guy, huh? But what I think that I'm seeing more and more, and I think needs to happen is us white men, this new generation of white men who are outspoken, we need to be outspoken because we need to say, you know what? We've seen how other white men have done it, and we don't want to do it that way. Totally. We're not about that.
You outspoken, Ben? I would have never thought.
It's great. It's encouraging when I see other, YouTubers, especially white dudes, and you listen to me like, wow, you are so wise, dude. Like that's awesome that you can be that vessel for that. Yeah. And like just changing up those, the generations of racism and oppression and unconscious language and thought processes and limiting beliefs. Like we just get to shed all of that. We don't need to make the mistakes of our fathers. We are now looking at our fathers and going, wow, you did a great job with the tools that you had. Totally. Thanks for teaching me everything you know. Yeah. Now I can apply it to what I know and make different choices.
Yeah. Break the wheel.
So I think it's great. So really speak up, white men. Totally. Speak wisdom and love everybody.
So back to microdosing. You and I could just end up on tangents. very easily.
It's so funny. Like we're the chatty ones in both of our relationships as well.
Yeah.
And when we hang out, like you and I just gab and gab and gab. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I am chatty, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, but Alex just likes to be asked questions.
Yeah.
He's really good at listening and asking like one question that just lets you go.
Yeah.
But he wants to be asked questions so that he can share, but he doesn't always just share.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. It's like, instead of just maybe someone, it's an interesting thing, hey, being asked a question rather than sharing. It's like maybe people don't want to hear what you have to say. Unless they ask you.
You'll tell them anyway.
Yeah, I do. I don't give a shit. It's more for me working it out loud rather than for your benefit of listening.
Totally, I do a bit of that too.
Yeah.
But yes, microdosing.
Microdosing.
Let's return back.
Yes.
So how does microdosing work? Like why is it different? Why would you want to do it?
Right. Well, microdosing for starters is taking small doses of psychedelic compounds. So you can microdose LSD. It's a lot more difficult to measure, but it can be done. You can microdose MDMA, but psilocybin, I would say, is the easiest to do because for starters, you just dry mushrooms, grind them up into a powder and put them into veggie capsules.
Yeah.
Don't use gelatin ones because that causes inflammation. So when you take them, it messes with.
It's not a fat soluble vitamin or whatever.
Thank you.
Mushrooms.
What Kristin said.
Unlike vitamin D, which is a fat soluble, which you need to have fat. So something like gelatin can be good.
Yeah. But the veggie caps, I guess they're just made of like vegetable glycerin. And I mean, they're pretty big, but yeah, I mean, you can also like just tip the mushrooms into a cup of tea and just drink them as well. But what you're looking for with dosage is you want, depending on your, like Kristin was saying, cleanliness of your system. So, if you fasted or what your diet is like, depends on your receptivity to the psilocybin compound and to the psilocin release in your bloodstream.
So start small.
Yeah, look, Laura, my partner, she has microdoses of 0.05 grams.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah.
I don't feel that. No,
I take between 0.09 and 0.12. So I have a pretty big window. And I like to this is the other thing when I'm packing and making, because I hand make all of my microdoses for people as well. I know it's sort of about how much 0.1 of a gram is. So I just pack it, seal it, and I put it on the scale. And if it's wherever it sits, sort of within that scale of between like 90 and 120, I just allow it because it's meant to be that way. And then whatever day that I take one, say it's 120, I might need a 120 dose because like that's the connectivity that you get with these substances or with these plants because they're intelligent too. They have a high vibration. And when you're coming in with the intention of creativity and positivity and, openness, like that has a magnetic effect. Like it's the law of attraction, right? And the right capsule, as something as simple as that right capsule will come to you on that right day that has the higher dose on the day that you might particularly need it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's magic.
And you don't take it every day though, yeah?
So look, there's many different ways to microdose that I've been finding out. So what I was doing was one pill every 3 days.
Yeah.
I've experimented with taking it in the morning and then taking it at night. At night, you get an amazing sleep and you wake up pretty fresh. However, it doesn't have that sort of effect during the day that it would have if you take it in the morning, which is like focused creativity, efficiency, multitasking, general mood elevation. Like you're just happier and things seem to flow easier. You don't get as reactive. Like it has these huge ripple effects. Like immediately too.
More understanding and compassion.
Totally. You're just softer. Yeah. I call it softening the edges, right? Just softens the edges of this reality a little bit. So everything's not as coarse. You're not as reactive. You're not as over the top, not as dramatic. And these things you can be felt day one because it's, especially if it's new to your system, because it does bioaccumulate. So that's why doing one every 3 days allows your body to sort of flush it out.
I actually often feel it more like the good benefits day 2.
Yeah.
And I'm still having it in the morning on like day 1.
Right.
But sometimes it's like, it's almost a bit intense for me, but maybe I'm having too much.
Yeah, having too much. You shouldn't be able to feel it.
Yeah. I can feel it just at the beginning and then I don't feel it.
Yeah. So it's like a really shortened large dose. So at the start you really feel and you're peaking and then you start to come down.
Yeah. But
So
the
you
next
don't
day
you
I
don't
have all
want that.
productivity. So I should
Yeah.
go stick with that lower
Yeah.
0.05 or even less.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because if you can feel it at 0.05, do try 0.03, 0.035 even.
Depends on the day.
Yeah. Because you'll find like even when it's that small, an increment can make a bit of a difference. Because that's the other thing. You got to tailor it to your system.
Yeah.
Because if you're a petite girl, like you
tall.
don't, you are, but like for a petite person, like don't take 0.1, you'll just be vibrating for the morning, Yeah. You won't be able to sleep, that's for sure. It's like we were talking about that in between stage of like not tripping, but not tripping, So you can take it every 3 days, and you can do that for a month, and then you have like 2 weeks off, and then you do it again. You can do it every day for 2 weeks, and then have a week off, and then do it again.
Yeah.
You could do it every day for a month, and then take a month off. You just have to listen to your system. You also have to listen to the mushroom. The mushroom will tell you.
Totally.
Like if one day you forget to take it, you weren't meant to take it.
Yeah. I always think about that with my supplements.
Yeah. The body knows.
Yeah.
The body will bring it to your awareness when it knows it wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many different ways to microdose. If you live in Queensland, the mushroom season has just ended pretty much. We're pretty much from January to March when it's hot nights and rainy, and then sunny days.
And that's what helps the mushrooms grow.
Yeah. And they grow out of cow poo.
Yeah. And is that the gold tops up here?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're just your standard cubensis.
Yeah.
We also have a species up here we call blue meanies.
Oh, yeah. I've heard you talk
Yeah.
about those.
So they kind of look like a Liberty Bell. And they have a pretty fast on, but a pretty fast off. So you're done and dusted at like a 2 gram, 3 gram dose in about 4 hours.
Wow.
It's really compact.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can get as deep like within yourself.
Time.
Yeah. It's a really fun experience. I did a 4 gram dose of blue meanies, and I was just smiling. Like it wasn't like a 4 gram dose of gold tops. But this is the other thing too. People are like, well, how will you know which ones to pick? And this is the magic of the mushroom. Something inside of you just knows.
Yeah.
You see it and your body lights up. You just know.
Yeah.
And then you grab
Especially
it.
you, Mr. Mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you pick that first one and it turns blue on your fingers and you're just like, yeah.
So it turns different color.
It bruises. Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah.
It's like electric blue, kind of the color of your blue spray bottle there. It's like
that
this
no one can see.
Yeah, that's right. It's for you.
Electric blue.
It's an electric blue with like elements of like green and yellow, electric green, electric yellow in it sometimes.
Bright bruising.
Bright. Yeah,
so when
you can't miss
pick
it.
It immediately bruises.
If you were rough with it, you can pick them real gentle and they won't bruise. But
it's
I like
something to know.
Give it a pinch because there are
many others.
There's over 5,000 species of mushrooms and they discover new ones every day, pretty much. There are many mushrooms that look all the same. There are mushrooms that look like magic ones that grow out of cow poo that aren't magic.
Really?
But there are ways to tell, right? When the cap separates from the stem, it leaves a little fluffy ring around the stem. Whereas the other ones that are poisonous that look like that don't have that fluffy ring.
Yeah.
So that's another way you can tell. But also the poisonous ones don't turn blue.
Right. So you pick it doesn't turn blue.
Yeah.
Rough it up a little bit, doesn't turn blue. It's like, okay, no, that's not a good one to have. Unless you know your mushrooms and you know that it's a okay eating one, maybe not a magic one.
Yeah. And these mushrooms grow from pretty much like mid-coast New South Wales all the way up to the Atherton Tableland.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then down in the southern areas of Australia, like when's the time frames and what?
Winter.
Grows? Winter.
Wet winter.
Yeah.
The worst time to be crawling around in garden beds. It's fucking raining and it's wet. Oh, it's raining and wet. It's raining and it's cold. But it's just the same thing. They actually, the ones we picked, I'm not going to release the location.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to decimate. I'm happy to talk with people who,
you know,
you have
cows
one-on-one.
on your property though, like.
Well, the ones in Victoria don't grow on cow poo.
Oh, they don't.
No, they grow in bark.
Yes, they're the acacia ones.
They grow in acacia bark.
Right.
Yeah,
because my friend has a farm where she has rescue cows.
Yeah.
And she was asking me, and I was
in
like,
Victoria.
Oh. Yeah.
Right.
I was like, I'll have to ask them
Yeah.
because I knew it said cow pats, but I
But
didn't know.
tell her to just get a chip bark bed of flowers or something or plants.
Yeah.
So what they do is they grow in, those sort of clumps of like grassy looking little plants that grow maybe 50 centimeters tall. They're real like, blades of grass almost.
Yeah.
So in there, you like pull those open and apart and they grow up in there. Some of them will grow like 20 centimeters tall, trying to get because they like they like filtered light.
Yeah.
They like to be protected from the wind.
Yeah.
Like they're smart.
Yeah.
Where they grow, it's intelligent because they're getting a little bit of sun, so they're not getting burnt.
Yeah.
They're staying out of the wind, so they're not freezing.
Yeah.
They are clustered together where there's moisture, so they have food. They're hidden, so they can't get like trodden on by wild animals or people. Yeah, super intelligent. Yeah, it's fun.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so, do people grow them themselves? Because
Yeah.
obviously they grow. Everyone else is growing other different types of mushrooms. Is there home growing of these types of mushrooms too?
There is, yeah. I've always found this really strange about growing mushrooms because in the wild they'll grow in shit. They literally grow in shit outside, like no sterilization, just growing in shit. At home, when you grow them at home, it has to be the most sterile environment because the tiniest bit of mold or bacteria can lead to a tainted product, which then can lead to a bad trip because you're essentially ingesting a poisoned accelerant.
This is what happens when we mess with nature.
Totally. But I've had some homegrown mushrooms that have been amazing.
Pristine environment.
People growing them with love and people like respecting their power and like growing them because they are on a journey and just happy to share them. Yeah, I bought them. This is in California. I had a friend who was growing them. But yeah, she would share them with me and it was beautiful. Yeah.
What's like the biggest thing that you feel like mushrooms has taught you?
Oh my God.
Or the first thing that comes to your mind?
That I know two things. I know that I know and I know that I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. That reminds me of that saying that is like knowledge comes with like time, that we think we gain knowledge, but wisdom comes with forgetting everything that we know.
Yeah.
Kind of
like Ram Dass says, like, you are not who you think you are.
Yeah. Just like you thought you were Scott Carmel.
I thought I was Scott Carmel. Yeah. I mean,
I'll
I'll happily share that story.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think a lot of people have an identity crisis in their lives at some stage. We go through our lives defending a name that was given to us by someone who probably wasn't that connected to us, doesn't really know us, even like in my adult life. I love my mum to bits. We're super close. She doesn't really know me. So it's like I was spending, not to mention I was given a religion as well. Yeah. I was in a step family with someone that didn't like me. Like there was a lot of like not belongings. When people would call out, Scott, hey, Scott, there was like a conscious voice in my head that was like, oi, that's you. It's like, oh, okay. It never, ever resonated with me. Like I never felt like a Scott. Yeah. So one, was deep in a mushroom trails, 4 grams deep and some cubensis in California, out in Big Sur, California. I said California twice, but been Big Sur, which is like this beautiful national park. Yeah, beautiful. And I went in I was been listening to a lot of Alan Watts at the time, and I was, that existential question. I was like, well, who am I? So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to ask the mushroom. So 4 grams in, and I asked the mushroom, who am I? And the mushroom almost laughed at me and was like, you're not Scott, that's for sure. I was like, no, I'm not. It's like, well, if I'm not Scott, then who am I? And the mushroom, it was like this, I had my eyes closed, was just sitting there. It was like this just really like friendly conversation with, it wasn't even really a voice, more so of like information, knowledge. I was audibly conversing in my own mind, but the answer was like a knowing. Bizarre. But the answer was simply, you're free to choose. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because it was right in alignment with everything I'd been doing in my life, was learning that I'm the creator of my reality, learning that everything that happens in my reality or happens for me, I'm choosing consciously or unconsciously. Yeah. So it was just in alignment with that. It was just like, then choose. If that's not who you feel you are, then feel into it and choose who you are. Yeah. It's like, okay. So I got to be the Swedish word for friend, which is Ven, V-E-N. I think it's actually V-E-N-N-E, Venne, is how it's pronounced. and the Taur Ventaur. Well, that just sounds rad.
Like a centaur.
Yeah, and
You are a bit like I could see you as a centaur if you were a
Totally.
mythical animal.
Yeah, if I could choose to be a mythical animal, it'd be a
You
centaur.
would have horse legs like running around.
Whatever. I'd like to be able to change into a centaur, perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And Wolf, that actually, I was experimenting with a few different last names. The first one I came up was Wind Shadow, because and this is the beauty of like a substance like LSD, and how different it is to mushrooms. Because LSD showed me, I've had two past life realizations deep in LSD, like 2 tabs in ceremony, which is not like 2 tabs at the at the Dorf. Yeah, it's very intense. One of them was a Viking realization, which was so cool, which was in alignment with me choosing a Swedish name. And the other one was a Native American realization, which also made so much sense in my life when I saw that too, because I've always wanted to have long hair. I never had long hair my whole life until I moved to America. Yeah. I'd always wanted to live in America. I've always been drawn to that place, and I never really realized why. I've always been super connected with animals, dogs especially. I'm kind of like a dog whisperer in a way. Like the most vicious dog will come up and like love on me. So a lot of that made sense, and that was my role in the tribe, was to look after the animals. So that's why I went with like Wolf Shadow. I was like, it's a good, powerful name. And then it was Wind Shadow, and then it was Wolf Shadow, and then I was actually redoing my profile with my agent when I was still trying to do acting here, and he's like, why don't we just make it Wolf, like with an E? I was like, that's dope. I'm the friendly wolf.
Wolfie.
Yeah. So I got the government involved and changed all of my documentation, and now I'm Ventaur Wolfe.
I love it.
Yeah. So the motto of the story is you can choose whoever you want to be. Yeah. You can change your name if you want.
Reminds you of constantly.
Well, it sets you free because it's boundary dissolving, right? The boundary is this is who you are for the rest of your life, is this name that's been allocated to you. But dissolve that boundary and you're free to be any name you want. Yeah. That's what, when you listen to Terence and he talks about the boundary dissolving properties of having a psychedelic experience, that's what it means. Yeah. It dissolves the boundaries we set in ourselves that keep us limited in our small existence, keeps us, what unlocks us and lets us come into our fullest power and realize the importance of this experience and realize the magic of this realm and realize the connectivity of this cool remote controlled, flesh suit that we get to run around in. Like, it's rad.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have some questions for you.
Oh, fire away.
Okay, you almost wanted me to put it in the introduction, but what's your human design?
Oh, apparently I'm a projector, which I'll fully disclose to you, I don't know what that means. I don't really know much about human design, although it is fascinating from what I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also a projector.
Okay. What does that mean to you?
To me, it means that sometimes I can't go, like Alex is a manifesting generator and he can go like full steam ahead and just like make shit happen and just like go. Whereas I sometimes just need to like ground in between and like integrate little moments, but still like have the same outcome, but maybe not as quickly as he would do it. And also like the thing that I used to always hear with projector was like, wait for the invitation. And that really used to annoy me, and I'm sure it did you too. But then it made me realize this process of how I feel like we manifest things or create things is like it comes to your mind first, hits that space in the brain. We start to like ruminate on it. It gets moved down to your heart. And then when it's in your heart, that's when the invitations start coming. And it might not be someone actually asking for the thing, but it's like things showing up in your life that like, yeah, you should do that thing. Or someone asking you specifically, oh, when are you going to put that out there? Or those sorts of things. So that for me, ask for the invitation, wait for the invitation is wait till it feels grounded in your heart, because then you can birth it out through either your cosmic womb or your physical womb, in birthing the creation into life. Right. Which is just how I feel like conception of anything would happen.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I think about it.
I'm a little bit like Alex though, too.
Yeah, you do.
I feel like maybe I'm divergent. I've never felt like I was from here anyway, so I might be a divergent.
I don't want to fit in.
Yeah. I don't fit any of your molds.
Don't make me a mold.
Yeah, like like I love Ayurveda. but like they try to categorize you into 3 categories. I'm like, well, I'm bits of both of all of those things. So like, you know.
But it's the thing, it's like even in Chinese medicine, you get told that you're like constitutions, but like you have all of the organs in your body, unless you've had your gallbladder removed. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your star sign? Your sun, moon, and rising. You do know?
No.
You know your sun sign.
I'm a Scorpio. I was born on the 31st of October. I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah.
And I was born in the year of the rooster.
Okay.
I don't know if you can work out anything from those two.
I would need your time of birth.
It was 11:14 a.m.
Okay, hold on one.
Just missed 11:11. You might have to explain to me what
I can do that.
Moon rising and sun rising, sun setting. What is it?
So your moon, so your sun is the sun signs where the sun was placed when you were born.
Right.
So like you have the season, like where the sun is.
Sure.
The moon is where the moon was when you were born. So that changes like every couple of days. And the moon relates to your relationships, but also to your emotions. So like how you navigate your internal world.
Right.
So that sign can be like a big part of what frames you. In a Vedic astrology, they focus a lot on your moon sign because it's really that inner world. Yeah. Whereas your sun sign is like you at your core of who you present like deeply, but it is almost an external thing.
Right.
And then your rising sign is where the sun was on the horizon when you were born.
Right.
Which means it can change like every couple hours or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the first part of you that's developed. So your rising sign is known as your ascendant, but it's also with your first house. So your first house is the first part of you that's developed. So it's a lot about how you physically present. It's how you physically look and the characters with which you like navigate through this life, or the characteristics with which you navigate through this life. It's the first part of you that's developed. So when someone like guesses someone's star sign, a lot, unless their rising and their sun are the same sign, you could be guessing the rising sign because that's generally how someone looks or comes across when you first meet them.
Right. That picture on the wall looks like a mushroom trip.
All my paintings.
It's funny because like the center at the bottom is the mushrooms too, so it's almost like it's coming from that.
Okay, we have Ventaur Wolfe. His sun, Scorpio. Moon, Sagittarius. Very interesting. Your ascendant is Aquarius. That makes sense. That's like that. You know how you were saying like you used to struggle with like people thinking you're detached or even being a bit detached from like your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very Aquarius
is it
aspect.
I felt like I didn't feel like people thought that. I felt like I was.
Felt that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's your rising. It's how you present though. Like almost like a little bit detached or like very like mystical and like galactic in ways.
That's the Scorpio too, the Scorpio mystery.
Yeah, the mystery, but like the Aquarius is this like wanting to be different, wanting to
I definitely want that. Definitely am that.
Wanting to be different, but also this Aquarius is like the free thinkers, you know, and you definitely have a lot of that energy. Yeah. The moon in Sagittarius is very fiery, but it's like it's not an aggressive fiery. It's more like a seeking fiery. Like let's burn things up, burn the old to like find the new things.
Right.
Go on an adventure. Like it's the wanderer, like the one that like wants to travel, and it's the archer in the thing. So like where you're gonna draw your bow, like your arrow back to be shot into the bow. Right. Anyway, there's lots more we could go into there, but you and I can talk about that another time.
That's interesting. I don't know if this has any significance. My grandfather and my uncle, who I'm very close with, and myself, all born in the year of the rooster. My grandfather and uncle are both Sagittarians, and I'm Scorpio. And the three of us kind of the most similar out of the family too, which is bizarre. Yeah.
Well, especially if you looked up to them, like something in your soul choosing that Sagittarius, you would have felt understood by them in a way, but also like we want to fit in with the tribe that we're raised around. So of course we like find our ways to adapt.
Biomimetic and biomimetric mimicry. Totally. That's like a tongue twister. Biomimetric and biomimetic mimicry.
But breath is a big one that we adapt our parents or who we feel we need to fit into in our tribe. What's your favorite fruit?
Oh, I had 2 of them today.
Oh,
Papaya.
Papaya.
Yeah, love papaya.
Yeah.
So good
is
for
why we're
you.
friends.
Oh my God, they're so good for you. Did Laura tell you one day we were out in the backyard sitting in the sun and I'd finished a papaya and she's like being silly, put it on her face.
Oh,
Just
no,
put the
it's
skin
so
all on her
good.
face. And then she put it all over her whole body. For the rest of the day, her skin was like silk.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. You
unbelievable.
do it with the skin. You
So
rub
there you
it
go.
on you.
Health tip, rub your papaya skin on your own skin.
Yeah. I have heaps of friends that do that.
Yeah.
If you could return to one moment in your life and experience it again, just like fully experience it again, not change anything, what would it be? Especially what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Landing in Los Angeles.
Yeah. That like, what's the word? Like anticipation kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I didn't really know what was coming at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember being super pumped to be there. But yeah, I'd like to be back in that. I'd like to go back there and just like watch myself be pumped.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Forest or ocean?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's so funny. It's such a simple question, but it's the one that people find the toughest.
I'm going to say forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Near an ocean, but mainly forest.
Yeah.
What plant or flower do you work with the most?
I mean, work with probably cacao, but yeah, psilocybin.
Yeah,
Mushrooms.
totally.
Yeah.
What's your favorite crystal?
Rose quartz.
Yeah, see, he's a
so
softy
pretty
guy.
So pretty. I used to sleep. I had like a big lump of it. I used to sleep with it for I don't know,
I
probably
think
2
the
years.
first time I met you, we were talking about rose quartz.
Yeah, I think I was probably still sleeping with it then.
Yeah.
It's my teddy bear.
No.
A rock.
Yeah. Alex used to, when I got really into crystals, he used to like roll over in bed and just be like hitting rocks all night. And he was like, what the heck?
So
I just have so many different crystals in the bed. He's like, where are you and why is there just hard things in here?
Mine was just so smooth. It's like
Yeah.
there's something about this smooth texture. It was just like
Yeah.
soothing for me.
Yeah. I love
Soothing,
it.
smoothing.
What, if you're an animal, what would you be?
Snow leopard.
Why do you choose a snow leopard?
They're just dope.
Yeah.
Their tail is like way longer than their body. They're like the mountain goat of the cat family. They're just like super agile, real stealth.
Yeah.
They live in like some of the most beautiful, uninhabitable places, like, you know, up in these cliffs and caves and where there's snow. And yeah, look, they are murderous primitive, sure, but they're just majestic to look at. And yeah, Google it. Google snow leopard. They're just, beautiful.
Nice.
Plus, whenever I do DMT, I become a cat, and it kind of feels the most like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Feels like how that looks. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any words you'd like to leave the listeners with today?
If you want an easier life, just love yourself more.
I love it.
That's it.
And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? How can they find you?
Well, I mean, with this sort of work is interesting at this time because we're sort of in this interesting place between illegalities. But word of mouth, or Kristin can put us in contact if need be.
Yeah.
You could, I don't know, leave a link to
Your
my Instagram page.
Yeah, I'll put it in the notes of the show.
Probably the hippie chippy one.
The hippie chippy.
The hippie chippy on Instagram. Yeah, stay tuned.
One of the creative things.
One of them, yeah. The chippying, the bass, the music, you name it.
Yeah.
We got it going on.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Ben.
Thank you for having me. This has been a delight.